Okay, so what are we going to do here this morning is look at a principle, but the marketing principle here is when we do something, we're thinking how many different ways can we leverage the effort that we're putting into the thing, all right? So that's the principle that affects behavior. The tactic or the strategy we're going to talk about is, in particular, events. We moved into our space. We built an event center inside the space. We're doing a lot of events. And so I want to share this with you. Even if you don't have a space, I don't think you necessarily need your own dedicated space. But what I'm going to show you are the things you should be thinking about when you do any marketing, but particularly if you're going to do an event. How many different ways can we leverage it to get something back out of the dollars and the hours that we put into it? There we go. And now I do need my glasses. All right. And I'm going to show you what we're doing at Bend Glass Law. So we do now several different types of events. One is for what we call tribal leaders. Again, a principle being that we talked yesterday about owning herds. And a herd can be individualized consumers, leads, clients. A herd can also be a tribe of people who are tribal leaders themselves, all right? So we think many lawyers, if you talk about, I'm gonna do an event, it's only about client acquisition, a direct client acquisition. Every time you do something, when you're teaching somebody something, you will enhance the perception they have of you as being wise. It's the same thing we talk about when we talk about writing a book. We think writing a book is relatively easy. We've been exposed to it over the years. Most people in the outside world still perceive authors as gurus. We forget, because we are in, by and large, a profession where we do a lot of speaking, trials, seminars that we teach at, presentations to clients, we forget that the rest of the world is deathly afraid. Most of the world is deathly afraid of public speaking. So putting on any event raises your perception as wise man or woman at the top of the mountain. Second thing is it allows one-to-many. So we've put, and I'll show you here, we put 50 pastors and church leaders in our training center to do a presentation. So it allows you now to leverage the hour that you spend or the hours that you spend getting your message out to many people at once. And this all is, we do events in our world to generate referrals primarily. There are ways to make money doing events, and I'll show you how we made a lot of money doing our RISA event. Right? But primarily, I'm trying to cement a connection. When you're really good at marketing all the parts of the pig, people out there will perceive that they have a relationship with you that is actually deeper than it actually is. Right? So our friend Dan Kennedy, thousands of people have this perception that they have a relationship with Dan, even though he may not have ever met them, but it's because of all of the personality that he puts into his writing, his books, and his presentations. There are lots of people who come into my office who voice that they perceive that they know me. Again, they can oftentimes recite that story, the 100-word story of Ben Glass. I've never met them, right? This doing events helps to grow that perception, especially when you do an event and you do it well and you're interesting about it. Obviously, we can sell individual clients, and I'll show you a little bit how we've done that in one area of our practice. It is somewhat common in the selling of estate planning services or for the lawyers who are financial services, lawyers. But even most of the ones who I see doing this, they do the event well, they miss so many other opportunities to leverage the time and energy they're putting in to the event. When you say, I'm going to teach X, you will become more knowledgeable about into our DNA. Am I still good? We want to be good when we're in front of the room. And so saying that you're going to do a seminar, planning it on the calendar, will improve your own knowledge of it. There's nothing like a deadline, right? And a live event that will make you want to be good. And then I'll show you some marketing that you do. And again, I think most lawyers who do events miss this. In the marketing under the theme of, does your lawyer teach other lawyers, right? So here's some examples of things that we have seen over the years in GLM, things that we're doing. So Charlie Hoffheimer, I think was mentioned a bit yesterday. Charlie's now retired. Callum, you probably mentioned Charlie, right? Because you have your little mastermind group down there, right? So for years, and they may still do it, they did a second Saturday. And that was actually a branded co-venture with someone else who created it. But here's what, doesn't matter. Here's what the event was. It was an opportunity, and Charlie's practice was divorce for women only. It was an opportunity for women to come into a low-key seminar, not necessarily to be sold, but just to learn more about the divorce and the family law world that they felt that they were now going to be jumping into. Charlie and his team then took and created basically a pro bono clinic for women who were in custody battles but who could not afford the fees that Charlie's firm was charging. They then eventually turned that live event into an online subscription course, all right? And working with Charlie and Kristen, his daughter, who's now passed away for many years, it was all authentically with an air towards, how can I help you first? Absolutely, it benefited the firm to be the one in the area who was letting people come into a room to discuss legal issues, right, without having to pay hourly rates to an attorney. My suggestion is that in just about any practice area, there's that opportunity. Obviously, we see selling estate planning. Typical version of that is, and you see it not by lawyers, you see it by non-lawyers, come on in, I'll buy you a chicken or steak, and I'm going to teach you about estate planning. But when you talk to the lawyers who are doing these events, they bitch and moan about all the free eaters that want to come in just to eat the chicken and the steak, who never do anything. But that just suggests that their system for getting the right people in the room isn't very good, or isn't as good as that could be. At our office, we've developed now both a live seminar and we've turned it into a webinar called Get It Settled. And it's for those lowest level personal injury cases that we don't want, right? They're the ones when the client calls you and you know, based upon the collection of data, that at the end of the day, you're not going to add value to their lives, right? You can get a settlement, great, but they're probably going to get as much money in their pocket with you or less than they would if they did this on their own. So a bunch of years ago now, I wrote a book, How to Get It Settled, how to settle your case without a lawyer. And my partner then took that and said, well, let me just do a seminar. Let's take all those D-level leads that we don't really want. We don't even feel justified in referring them out to anyone because they're not good for anybody. But let's put them in a room. Let's at least offer that. It gets good at presenting. It helps hone our own systems of how we process these cases. And yes, cases percolate back up out of that seminar because situations change. In cases where both the client and we perceived that there wasn't a lot of value, we couldn't add a lot of value, sometimes by the time they came to a seminar or afterwards, their case got more complicated than they thought. Maybe they needed a surgery. And so who are they going to then call but the guys and gals who put on the free Get It Settled seminar? Now, as a matter of now leveraging that, we then videoed it and turned it into a webinar. And I don't know anything about doing webinars or running them, but Tiffany does. And so we have a sequence that puts certain of our leads into a channel that says, oh, by the way, it just happened next Wednesday night at 8 o'clock, we're running our webinar, Get It Settled. That's all run by Infusionsoft and my tech team. But point is, we have knowledge, we've leveraged it. Book, live seminar, webinar, and it produces cases for us. And once we do it, it's equity, right? We don't have to go and create anything new. It's easy to do this seminar. If you're a small biz lawyer, how to start your own business, right? There's a million people in your area, if you do this, who want to, these are the people that are going maybe to LegalZoom and they're trying to download forms and they have these questions about how to incorporate, and should I be a this or that, and what do I need, documents in Virginia? They're like, all right, well, why aren't you running something? It doesn't even have to be you, we'll talk about that, but running a seminar that takes entrepreneurs, if this is your practice area, and just teaches it. If you open the college catalogs, the community college catalogs that come to your house, there's people that are running these seminars. I'm just saying, why don't you do it? Charles Nicola, who's a longtime GLM member and a mastermind member, became really is a dominant force in the franchising world, franchising industry as the go-to lawyer. And so, of course, he built that on running seminars to help mom and pop who have a great business and they think they want to scale it and franchise it, just to get people in the door to have an easy conversation with the lawyer. So there's different types of events. This is, so what you're looking at here is our training center. Seats about 42 classroom style, 50 if you line the walls, digital screen, and I think you can read there in the back of the digital screen where I'm standing, it's the Ben Glass Center for Growth and Innovation. Again, that freaked out a lot of the big law lawyers who were there for the mediation earlier this week. It's like, what the hell is this? And this is the place where I show clients. We bring them around on a little tour, and we open the door, and we say, and this is where lawyers come from around the world, around the United States, to be trained by us. So again, I'm leveraging the use of the space to provide an additional trust clue to anyone who has any doubt that we are the right place for them to be. This is easy to do, obviously in your own practice area, and we use it to get referrals from these other lawyers. So we do the seminar on just what every Virginia lawyer or Northern Virginia lawyer needs to know about personal injury cases. Your established bar does these type of seminars a lot, kind of a generalized outlook. There's no rule that says you have to play in that world, though. You develop your own list. So we do something like this. We do 2 hours. We apply for and get credit, because one of the hours will be an ethics and advertising credit, which I will do. We buy beer and pizza, right? We're investing, and we don't charge them any money, right? We're happy to invest that in creating relationships with lawyers who will refer us cases, and we get referrals out of this cohort of lawyers. The next thing you can do, if you start this and get good at it, is you develop a seminar series, all right? And I might say to Tim Semmelroth, if he was in my area, Tim, come on in and you do 2 hours on what every Northern Virginia lawyer needs to know about workers' compensation, or to Michelle. Great, so in Virginia, Tim can get credit for teaching that. Attendees can get credit. And then I look around and I find a criminal defense lawyer, and I go, I need you, would you like to teach at our seminar series? And you can charge for it, but that's not the point. The point is, I want community. Ben Glass wants the lawyer community, particularly the young lawyer, distressed, trying to figure out if they'll still like the profession. I want that community to see us as business leaders, as inspirational leaders. And so you set this up, you just keep inviting your friends who are practice area niches, right? And in different states, it's easier or harder to get CLE credit for it. But point is, they'll come. And then our ERISA seminar that we did, and I'll show you some background on that, how any lawyer, the theme of that was how any lawyer can add $700,000 of revenue by learning how to do an ERISA long-term disability claim. Then we started thinking, who else could we get to come into the Ben Glass Training Center? So Brian says, let's get the chiropractors in there. So we made a mistake that I'll show you about in a few minutes. But it turns out that led us to now look at what are the requirements for continuing education in some of these other professions that we might want to have alignment with. Chiropractors in Virginia are funny. Like, I bitch and moan about 12 hours, right? 12 hours in the Virginia State Bar makes me go every year. Chiropractors, 60 hours every 2 years. But wait, 30 of those hours can be from anyone. No accreditation, no theme, no nothing. We developed a seminar for chiropractors about the claims process. Made me look at the CPAs. Now, I don't have a seminar set up for CPAs, but if I was a business lawyer or an estate planning lawyer, I might want to have a cohort of CPAs who look to me. 120 hours every 3 years, and there are no required course areas or sponsorship requirements. They can do whatever the hell they want, I think, as I read the rule, right? So my thing is, you can take that position. No, you don't need to be invited by anybody to be a leader of tribes. You just have to figure out something that would be interesting. Remember the marketing principle we talked about yesterday. Always be interesting first. We've had the local insurance agents in. You know what local automobile insurance sales agents don't know anything about? The product they sell. I swear to God. They come to me and they ask me, can you explain this UIM stuff? Why would anyone want to increase their UIM? I'm like, I'm sorry. It's not in the course at Allstate. No, they didn't teach me anything about that. And I start to explain scenarios that we go through every single day with potential clients and with clients. And their mouths just drop open. It is absolutely shocking. So just because another profession, licensed profession, does stuff, their interrelation with the law, presume zero knowledge, presume misunderstanding, because it's out there. And it allows you an opportunity to be tribal leader. Even clergy and ministers have some form of continuing education that they go to. I didn't go to check to see what, I imagine the requirements are by denomination, not by state, of course. But I've spoken now 3 times in the church, in our training center, and now more regionally, because my pastor knows that I know something about how to put people in seats, right? She wants to be me to the pastor world. And we were able to, again, just by putting a finger on a date, saying, we're going to do this seminar, it's going to be about evangelism, and then the local Lutheran Church Synod broadcast that. We had to help with their marketing. Okay, that's another thing too. We'll talk about marketing these things, but you can't ever rely on any of them to do good marketing. People in the room. So if you want people in the room for one of these things, whether it's in your office or at a hotel or something, you have to take charge as much as they will give you of the marketing opportunity, of the marketing, actual marketing, get it done. So we teach them a lot of things about that. Here's another one. This is real easy to do because everybody in this room eats lunch. So I put together a small little mastermind group. I'll show you how I did it in a minute. These are other local biz owners, 90 minutes, 1 day a month. Let's get together. Again, I buy the lunch. This is the best deal ever. Come out of your practice, sit around, I will buy you lunch. I want you to come with 3 things. I want you to bring with you a resource. You don't even have to bring a book, just bring the name of a book, something that, or a book or a podcast or something. Bring something that's working in your business. Again, you gotta make this really easy for people, right? And bring a problem. And I'll show you how we marketed to get it in, but since I'm gonna eat lunch anyway, I'm happy to pay whatever, $125, $150 and to deliver a great experience, what we'll talk about, and bring biz owners in. Yes, Tim?
What's the ideal size you found for something like that?
So Tim asked, what is the ideal size for this? It's, I think, the wrong question. The better question is, what's the criteria? And I tell them, I want this to be interesting to me. So, and I tell them, this is not a meet and greet, and this is not a you refer to me, I refer to you. So I make the, what's that other group? B&I. So I make them like the common enemy of idiots, right? Like it's not one of those, because I went to one, so I have an experience of one meeting. I thought, oh my God, everyone's trading cards and fake, I don't know what it was, money or something. I said, it's not one of those. I said, we are trying to build each other up. So, Tim, I think it would be, depending on the space, you're not going to give a seminar, right? If I had 20 interesting people who want to show up once a month for 90 minutes, I would do that. I think it makes it robust. And then what you do, you don't have to do the work either. So what you do then, you say, well, Jeffrey Meldon, you're coming next month. So Jeff, what's working? Would you like to present on? Boom. You want to do some LinkedIn stuff? You want to talk about, chat? Great. Now all you're doing is you're being the host of the deal. All right. And it takes work to find people who will make it interesting for you. One of my points here, you'll see in a minute, is don't think just because this is free and you're buying them lunch that interesting people who are actually doing stuff in the world are actually going to show up, right? A lot of times, and what I found in these sort of meetup.com things is it's a restaurant full of losers who have no job, have no revenue, and they're just moaning and groaning to each other. So I started this about 25 years ago when I started my own practice. And I'd left my firm after working for 12 or 13 years and didn't know what the heck I was doing. And I said, guys, to my local competitors who were basically my age cohort at the time, it would be a really good idea. I think we ought to just get together once a month. Again, I didn't know this. I said, I'll buy the pizza, bring your cases. Let's all throw our cases on the table. Let's just talk about adjusters and insurance companies and stuff. And we did that. That's morphed now into a slightly larger group than I started, where it's Northern Virginia, it's competitors. So this is mindset. This is getting out of the way the scarcity mentality that if I share something with you, you're gonna put me out of business. This is sitting down with the guys and gals in your practice area, I suggest, as one way to do this, and saying, what problems are we seeing? Same 3 questions. What's working? What resource do you have? What problem do you have to solve? Let's work on this together. You'll quickly find and not invite back those who show up at your meeting with that scarcity mentality. They just never find out when the next meeting is. And I tell them that.